Mercedes have done it again at an incredible Grand Prix at Imola. We discuss all the action from this weekend's Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Hello and welcome to the Picture Podcast. My name's Ed. This is my co-host Dylan.
Hello.
And this weekend was the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, or better known as the San Marino Grand Prix hosted at Imola. It's not really called the San Marino Grand Prix, but that's what most people will know it as, who have watched F1 for long enough to remember Imola being on the Formula One calendar. One of the headlines of the day was Mercedes. They've done it well done to them. A seventh straight in a row constructors title. I mean that is incredible. I mean 2014 they won their first one. So yeah, well done to them. They now hold the all-time record. I think that's pretty incredible, don't you, Dylan?
Very good.
Yeah, I think that just kind of sums up Mercedes at the moment. Very good, and not much more to say.
Just too good for everybody else.
They just do it and just go. That's literally Mercedes. Do it, go, and then they win. Yeah, I wonder if they'll do it next year. I think they will. Make it 8. Imagine if they did 10.
Yeah.
10 seasons
in a row. How many have they won altogether? Do you know?
Mercedes. Well, it's only 7, isn't it? Because they didn't come into the sport long before they started winning, did they?
They did it in the 1950s.
Oh, I don't know how many constructors they won. I'd say, well, if we're going to do all of them, I'm going to take a guess at 8 or 9. Yeah, it's an incredible result, Dylan. Don't Google it. We need to get into our predictions before we do anything else. Let's compare our predictions to what actually happened in real life. So, in qualifying, I predicted Hamilton to get pole position, Verstappen to get P2, and Bottas to get P3. That was all wrong. Bottas put in an incredible lap to get P1. Hamilton got quite thoroughly beaten, actually. He was a 10th off Bottas and Verstappen in that customary P3. Dylan, what did you predict?
I predicted Bottas, Hamilton, Leclerc, and I got 2 right. Bottas, Hamilton.
Yeah.
So I got 66.666%.
Yep, that is correct. If you do the
but you got nothing.
Yeah, I did.
You've gone back to your bad self.
I have gone back. I mean, it couldn't go on for long, could it? I think that's a perfectly reasonable prediction. It's just wrong.
Wrong order.
Yeah, wrong order.
Right people, wrong order.
I think Bottas, it was quite surprising. I mean, he doesn't do it often, but when he does, he does it well. And I think he's given less credit than he deserves, really, for his performance when it comes to beating Lewis Hamilton. I think he's actually doing a really good job, don't you?
Yeah, he is.
I think he gets a lot of slack. He gets a lot of rubbish thrown his way for not maybe doing as well as people hope. But you got to remember, Lewis Hamilton is a 6-time, probably pretty much 7-time. Then next time,
7 times definitely.
When we're recording in 2 weeks, I bet you will be saying Lewis Hamilton's got.
Maybe. Where's he got to come?
I don't know, but
they'll tell us.
Yeah, from all the stuff I've heard, it's going to be pretty easy for him. I mean, look how easy it was for Mercedes today. So, and Lewis Hamilton, he wins a lot, as I think everyone knows. I mean, when you say F1 to someone who doesn't really know about it, they just say Lewis Hamilton. That's the big name. And moving on to our race predictions, I predicted Hamilton to get the race win, Bottas to come second, and Leclerc to get P3. I'd say that's just as wild as actually what happened today. But sadly, I got 2 out of 3, and Ricciardo got that P3.
Another tattoo, maybe?
Another tattoo for Cyril Abiteboul?
No.
I reckon not, because if Ricciardo gets another, he'll be covered in tattoos for the.
Maybe if he gets a win.
Yeah, if Ricciardo gets a win, then I think he deserves another tattoo, but not for another podium. But really well done to Ricciardo. I think it was Nürburgring two races ago he got the last podium. So that was it was a good performance from him, and that safety car, which we'll talk more about later on, really paid off for him. And Perez kind of gifted Ricciardo the podium, as we'll talk about as well.
He's gone to 4th on the in the driver standings.
Really?
which is very
That
good.
is
Yeah,
incredible for a Renault driver. I mean, McLaren have been
10 points ahead of Leclerc.
wow, wow. That's like Renault back in 2006, 2005 when they were doing the Alonso titles. So
Yeah,
yeah, Dylan, what did you predict for the race?
I predicted Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, but I only got 2 right like you. I don't know, I was a bit boring with Verstappen.
Yeah, uh,
But you went wild with
Verstappen
Leclerc.
actually got
Did not happen.
a puncture today.
It was a wheel failure, wasn't it? Not a
I
puncture.
haven't heard that, but last time I heard, I mean,
I thought it was a wheel failure.
last time I heard it was a puncture because he was out of the pits for quite a while after that, I think. But
Because I thought he span and he couldn't get moving or something. I don't know.
no, it was just sudden. They think it's debris on the track.
Debris.
So, yeah, Verstappen didn't even finish the race, and he's keeping up that record that I said he wouldn't keep up on Friday of when he finishes on the podium, and if he doesn't finish on the podium, he's out the race. That's a pretty impressive stat, actually. It really. Don't think even Lewis Hamilton has that stat. He had some pretty rough times, even at Mercedes. Their reliability is better than what it used to be. I mean, they've improved so much in reliability. I mean, it's a rare race, isn't it, when Mercedes don't finish both their cars across the line.
Hasn't happened for a while.
Actually, no.
Not this season.
Bottas, Nürburgring.
Was it? Yeah, but not both cars.
No, when both cars don't cross the line.
Oh right, yeah.
I think we're both right for different reasons there. Anyway, back to talking about the present day. It was a pretty crazy Grand Prix, really. The start was quite good for Verstappen, at least. He got Hamilton off the line. If you watch the highlights, which of course will be linked in the top right-hand corner of the screen, and actually, if you're watching this on your phone on the YouTube app, the eye has moved. So you tap on the screen, click the 3 dots, and it will come with all the settings for video quality, and it will say from the Pit Crew podcast. Click on that, and then you'll be able to find all the videos. Or that's at least how it is on my phone. I don't know if that's what it's like on anyone else's, but it's what it's like on my phone.
Yeah.
That's just a random little bit of tech talk, not really tech, app talk. App analogy. There you go. Alliterative. Oh yeah. Dylan was nodding with that one as well. Yeah, I like the app analogy. Should we create a new channel, Dylan? App analogy.
Yeah, we should.
App analogy. App analogy podcast talking about Formula One. Yeah, the start was really good for Verstappen. They all seemed to get away really slowly, which is what I was going to say before I started getting distracted about the eye on the YouTube app. They all seem to get away really slowly. I don't know if it was just the way it's filmed. I mean, sometimes fast things seem slow on camera. But yeah, Verstappen got Hamilton. Vettel actually caused a spin. He didn't spin.
For once.
He didn't
Yeah.
spinala. Magnussen spinala because of Vettel causing the spinala. How many times did I space spinala in the last 10 seconds?
Too many times, Ed. Too many times.
Too many times. Another bit of contact was Lance Stroll. He lost at least half his front wing, and after contact with Esteban Ocon at turn 7 on lap 1, if I remember all the facts correctly, and that bit of debris is thought to have caused Bottas a lot of trouble later on in the race. And another thing to talk of, the Alfa Romeo seems to be making a habit of it. Giovinazzi, if you've been watching the Formula 1 YouTube channel, they actually uploaded a video called Giovinazzi's Top 5 Starts, and he's completely gone under the radar of being completely under-respected, hasn't he, Dylan? Did you see that?
Yes.
Actually, we were all saying, I think Giovinazzi's going to go. His performances haven't been good enough. Actually, I think they have. I take that back. I think if you look at his starts and where he's been finishing in that car, which is, let's be honest, third worst at best.
Yeah.
He's been doing really well, and just as well as Raikkonen, who just seems to get more publicity because he's Raikkonen. So, yeah, fair play to Giovinazzi, or as some people call him, Italian Jesus.
Italian Jesus. What was his hair?
His hair. Italian Jesus. He started P20 and he got up to P14 by either the end of lap 1 or at lap 2. So incredible start. He started on the softs and then boxed very early. And another thing that made my heart sink, Gasly. He had a great qualifying. He got his best result, fourth. Equaled his best result ever. And then he had to retire due to a power unit issue. What was it, Dylan? I think it was a
water pressure drop. So that's what I've read
Yeah,
somewhere.
they had something on the grid and they got it fixed and he started and then it was about lap 7 or 8 and the engineer just said, "Listen,
8.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're just gonna have to box. We need to retire the car." Talking of boxing, there was lots of boxing, not punching boxing, pit boxing. It's a new sport, pit boxing. I think the pit box would last longer than a human being. Dylan, stop rolling your eyes at my awful jokes. There was some really weird strategy. People started boxing really early, a lot earlier expected than all the projected strategies by Pirelli and AWS Analytics that they put up during the race. They were boxing about lap 10, lap 13. It was all started by Giovinazzi and Russell. Giovinazzi and Russell. And then Leclerc boxed, Ocon boxed, and Norris boxed. And then a couple of laps later, we had Ricciardo, Kvyat, and Albon box. And that was really surprising. It was just seemed to be really earlier pit stops, and they all boxed for hards and tried to make them go that extra distance. And at this point, there was a little. This race was full of different strategies. I found it really interesting, actually. Verstappen boxed, and then Bottas boxed one lap later in response to that. But Mercedes, you'd think Hamilton would come in to cover Verstappen because he was currently behind Verstappen. No, he wanted to go a lot longer, and then a VSC about 10 caused by Ocon. Was it a clutch issue, Dylan?
I think
I
so,
think he had a
yes.
clutch issue.
I can't remember, yeah.
Pulled up at the side of the track in a relatively safe place. They just need the VSC to get it off the track at the exit point that he'd parked by. So a VSC, if you don't know, a virtual safety car.
Virtual safety car.
It's like having the safety car out, but it's for a short period of time, so they don't have to do at least one full lap, and they just drive at safety car speed. And Hamilton pitted under it because he said, right, his engineer said, can you go that 10 laps longer on those mediums? And he said, yes. And it was perfect timing. VSC dived into the pits. The pit lane time was about 28 seconds. But that's how much you'd lose. And under the VSC, you'd lose a lot less. So he was very lucky. And literally, VSC started, went in, and then it ended as soon as he got out the pit lane. He was so lucky. And to be honest, it worked perfectly for him. But it almost ruined the spectator appreciation for him, if you know what I mean, Dylan, because it made it too easy for him. I mean, he did that. It was an incredible win, and strategy, you're still finishing in front of them. But just for him to have done it without the VSC and to have boxed purely on merit, it would have just been nicer to see. And, talking about Bottas's floor, he had floor damage since lap 2. And I said that half of Stroll's front wing had come off. And the other half, we think some of it went on to Bottas's floor, and he lost a ridiculous amount of downforce. I think it was about 25 points of downforce. It was ridiculous. So he was holding up Verstappen, and he was a lot slower than anyone else. And then another one, Bottas kept locking up. Verstappen kept coming, and then going back, and then coming again, and then going back. And they just kept going, and then Bottas, he made another mistake. He went onto the gravel. He had to lift off. His tyres were dirty, so he couldn't accelerate as quickly. Verstappen it was out the final corner. Verstappen got right on the back, DRS, and just went down. And Verstappen just said, "Send it," over the radio, which I think just summarised it. And Perez was having a great drive today. He started P11 and he finished. I think it's P5 or P6. Let's see. It was P6 behind
P6.
Ferrari Charles Leclerc, who also had a great race, along with Daniel Kvyat from AlphaTauri. But someone who didn't have a great race was Alex Albon again. He had an awful performance. I mean, he boxed to cover George, which was a really bad decision because George's strategy didn't work. Russell's strategy didn't really work as well with those going long on the softs. So he just stuck behind Leclerc for the entire race, and he was about 50 seconds behind Verstappen. And what do you think, Dylan? We were discussing this last week. Perez to Red Bull? What do you think?
He could do, but I think Albon might stay season, or at least a half a
At
season.
least half a season, but when Red Bull say yes, we are keeping Verstappen, no one wants to see him go. Next thing they'll do is next week they'll just say Verstappen's, we're keeping Albon. Sorry, Albon's not gonna go, and then next week they'll just say Albon's gonna go, because you can never trust
Christian.
we can never trust Red Bull and Christian Horner and Helmut Marko, but they did leak something kind of about AlphaTauri because Daniel Kvyat is probably going to go due to what Helmut Marko, Red Bull's, I think he's he's basically their young driver program manager, and he said in an interview about AlphaTauri when asked about Pierre Gasly's future, Daniel Kvyat's future, sorry, because Pierre Gasly being confirmed, he said Gasly will be accompanied by a very young driver. So I don't think it's going to be Kvyat. Probably Yuki Tsunoda. I think I'm saying that's right. Japanese guy, isn't he, Dylan?
Yeah. I know he is, but I don't know how to say his
Yeah. Tsunoda. But yeah, we had 5 retirements in the race. Magnussen, one of them. A bit of a weird one. He got headache from a harsh jolting when he's up shift. So we have a seamless shift mechanism in an F1 car to reduce the time it takes to shift and therefore make your lap time slightly faster. So when you shift, it just go boop, boop, boop. It's really quick. Because there's so much horsepower going through that gearbox and the seamless shift just didn't work for Magnussen. He was getting a massive jolt each time he shifted. Imola is such a twisty circuit with, you can see there are lots of tight corners where you're going to be downshifting a lot from a long section. And it was a headache. He did retire, but at first he didn't want to because he said, "It's my job." Which was...
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Grosjean would have retired ages ago.
Yeah. Grosjean had a pretty mediocre race. I think he got a 5-second penalty at the end as well because the stewards hadn't given enough out. I think that was literally it.
Nah, they just hate French people.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Okay, Dylan. You do you, Dylan. Fine. You can think. The FIA hate French people.
Even though they are
Hashtag end FIA racism now. Okay, yes. Pierre Gasly's going to have his win removed due to using a baguette as a gear shifter or something. That's the FIA. Talking of battles, we talked about this on Friday in our predictions episode. The battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th has really hotted up, and as of now, it is even closer. I've just checked it. I didn't know it was this close. Renault got P3 with Daniel Ricciardo. McLaren got P8 and P9 with Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. I don't know which way around though. And Racing Point, obviously, Perez got P6 and Stroll was out of the points. He had a miserable weekend, and he even knocked over the guy at the front of the car when he comes in for a pit stop.
Yeah.
And he'll put the jack under and lift it up. He came in, I think during the VSC or sometime. I think during the VSC or the safety car. I think the safety car, and his brakes were really cold, so his stopping distance was reduced, and he came in too hot, and he just knocked him over. Guy's fine, though. We'll put a video link at the top right-hand corner of the screen. It's quite a funny video to watch. He just gets knocked over. But talking of that, Renault have 135 points, and in 5th, Racing Point have 134. So P3 to P5 is separated by 1 point. Wow. I'm looking forward to seeing how this shapes out. I think advantage Renault, don't you, Dylan?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I definitely think advantage Renault. Who was your driver of the day in this Grand Prix, Dylan?
I think Kimi was. He did very
He
well.
got official driver of the day as well.
Did he?
Yeah. I think I went for Giovinazzi as well. So both the Alfa Romeo, having a great race. Ricardo as well. There were lots of great drives this weekend. Another thing that was really disappointed, Williams. Nicholas Latifi P11, which is a really good result for him. Russell, his strategy kind of worked. He stayed out during the safety car, was running P10. Tyres were cold, gave a little rev to heat them up. Spun, hit the wall. He was running P10.
He did a Grosjean.
I think Ericsson hit us, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Ericsson
think,
hit him.
I
Definitely
think
Ericsson's fault.
Ericsson, yes. I think Latifi hit us. Yeah. Come on, Russell. He was so frustrated. Yeah. Uh, I'm really sorry for him. Another thing, Alvon Spinalad at the start of. If you don't know what Spinala is, it's a meme. It's Italian for spin. It's quite complex. Alvon spun during a fight with Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz didn't touch him. He just put the foul down too early after he got overtaken, and yeah, he spun, rounding off a pretty awful day from him. Perez, though, he will regret boxing today during the safety car. He was running P3, boxed for the softs to try and gain because because they were a lot newer than the hards that people were running on. Ricardo got that P3, he couldn't catch up, he finished P6, and he literally gifted Ricardo that podium. Kvyat, great start. So it seemed at the start that the softs were doing way better. At the start of the restart for the last couple laps, the softs were doing way better. But the hards really came back alive, and as you can see, Dylan, it just, Ricardo got that P3, Kvyat got that P4, who I think was also on the hards as well. So a great day overall for some people who you may not expect. What was your biggest surprise? I'm going to go Kvyat for me or Ricardo's podium. What are you going to go do?
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Probably Kvyat more.
Alfa Romeo's performance as well. And
yeah.
Williams' performance actually as well. It was very, very good as well. Biggest disappointment.
Well, kind of.
Yeah, biggest disappointment for me, biggest disappointment by far, Russell. I think there's only one option, it's Russell. I think
could have
the
got
best
a point
rivalries in F1 history consist of Senna versus Prost, Rosberg versus Hamilton, Lauda versus Hunt, Nico Hulkenberg versus podium, and George Russell versus a point. I think they're your top 5 Formula One rivalries in Formula One. But one good thing about not Nico Hulkenberg, George Russell, 100% record for beating his teammate in qualifying. I mean, he hasn't had the best competition with Kubica and Latifi, but definitely good at that. What's your overall verdict for the race, Dylan? Was it brilliant? Was it not so brilliant?
I mean, I thought it was pretty good. Quite exciting. A few things happening. A lot of battles going on.
Yeah. And I think that brings us to the end of this weekend's episode of the Pit Crew podcast. 2 weeks' time, we're at Istanbul for the Turkish Grand Prix circuit we haven't raced at since 2011. We hope you enjoy seeing all the Formula One action unfold, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of driver market announcements over the next few weeks, aren't you, Dylan?
Yeah, I think so.
It'll be interesting to
Definitely.
see when we next come on air and give you a recap of all of that. And Dylan, I'll let you sign off.
I've been Dylan.
And I've been Ed.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.